Welcome to the Introverted Influencer Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Van Slyke. My soul's mission on this planet is to help fellow introverts grow their online influence in a state of feminine flow and ease. While battling the woes of depression, anxiety, and even mom guilt, I've somehow managed to build a six-figure blog without the use of social media and without sacrificing my mental health. If I can do it, you can fucking too. Hello, love. Welcome back to episode 50 of the Introverted Influencer Podcast. It is such a trip. I love counting each episode. I kind of do that selfishly because it's really unbelievable to me, with as uncomfortable as I am doing this, that I have made it to 50. I like to just continue to remind myself of how I can stick with something that doesn't feel natural to me. That kind of is a segue for what I want to speak about today. Back in the interview episode with Whitney Weiser Savage, a few episodes back, we both discussed how we had marketing degrees. We went to school for marketing, but she ended up becoming an athlete and a trainer and now a TEDx speaker. And I've become a blogger and podcast host. And there was a time when we were transitioning from kind of doing the basic generic 9-to-5 sort of thing, what we were taught, and then stepping more into our passion, where we thought, God, that was such a waste of time. Going to school, college, getting a degree in something that you wouldn't think directly correlates with what we do now. So until we knew how it would all play out, perhaps it did feel frustrating. Perhaps it did feel like a waste of money or a waste of time and effort. I know I put a lot of effort into my degree to keep my academic scholarship. And then it's only looking back to where you can connect the dots and see how nothing was wasted, because if it wouldn't had been for some of the marketing classes I had to take, I had to learn some basic web design. And so it made it a lot easier to build a website and a blog. And she learned a lot of great tactics for promoting herself and her own business. So looking back, we can see how nothing is wasted. And I think that is what I just want to delve into a little more today. There is a fear before our goals, before our passions have manifested into physical reality. We have the idea, then, as Neville Goddard refers to as the bridge of incidents, as soon as we have the clarity, the idea, we get onto this bridge of incidents where everything plays out, and it's up to us to know that it's always working for our favor. And I think one of the biggest fears when you're getting off to your start in pursuing your passion is that it will all be a waste of time if it doesn't work out. First of all, we need to zap that if it doesn't work out. You need to know and believe that it will work out. But putting that aside, putting the worst case scenario aside, let's talk about when you are putting in the day-to-day work. Whatever is required of you to make your dreams a reality, to make your business a success, to be successful in your whatever career you are pursuing. We can have a fear that, okay, I'm putting in the work, I'm not yet getting paid, I'm not seeing any external sign that this will work. I'm not having any validation, no monetary compensation. What if all of the work I'm doing is just a waste of time? And then if you go down that rabbit hole, you can lose your motivation and be a lot less likely to show up and do the work, right? So we need to reframe this. I personally can say I've kind of had some of those thoughts myself with what I am going through. I mentioned 2 episodes back that my business, my blogging business, it's in an experimental phase where I'm having, the industry is shifting and I'm having to change my strategy to keep up, which means getting a lot more focused on search engine optimization and long form content writing. I was super spoiled having Pinterest as another super viable traffic source. It's not that it's not a traffic source anymore. It's just not as great of a traffic source right now, given their current algorithm. So I'm having to adjust. I was a little spoiled in my approach. Maybe I got lazy because Pinterest was just easy traffic for me. I didn't have to work hard for it. Google, while there's more work up front in creating longer form content, once Google starts to index it, see you as a credible source, then you can get in a flow and your efforts do pay off, but it's not immediate. It's more of like a 6 month to 1 year sort of game. So I'm putting in a lot more effort with Google, but it's not that I'm going to be seeing immediate results. Okay. So I'm kind of in that world in between worlds where I'm putting in the effort and I'm not seeing results yet. There was I've had a few days where I'm like, ugh, is this all going to be just wasted time? Sitting here writing these really long articles and going back and updating old posts from a technical aspect and from just juicing up my content, so to speak, beefing it up. And then I thought, even if this particular strategy doesn't pay off, which I do believe it will, or I'll find another strategy, as long as I want it, I'll figure it out. That's my core belief. But even if all this kind of grunt work doesn't pay off, that doesn't mean that it's wasted, because I am developing skills. I am refining and sharpening skills. At the end of the day, what are we here for on this particular entrepreneur type focused podcast? We're here because we want to make money doing what we love, right? And how do we make money? We offer value. Well, how is value created? Well, value is created by mastery of a skill or a variety of skill sets. So, even if Google doesn't end up loving all of these posts that I'm going through and redoing, it's not a waste of time. I'm further practicing my copywriting skills. I'm practicing my writing more. I am reacquainting myself with best SEO practices. And so you see how what I'm doing could be a skill completely transferable to pretty much any other online business. And I say online, but really everything is online, even if it's brick and mortar. SEO and copywriting is an extremely valuable marketing tool. So that is just a little hack that I have been using to, I guess, feel less sorry for myself in the drudgery. Even we'll take, for instance, this podcast. I am so cringe, and I hate being cringe, the perfectionist. My ego doesn't like it either. It feels very uncomfortable doing something that is not natural, that I am not naturally inclined with speaking, okay? And so, well, I have my moments where I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I putting myself through all this discomfort once a week? Why am I allowing myself to look foolish? I've gotten some hater comments. Actually, I got a recent one, which is why, tangent, you please, if you find any value from this, I need you to leave reviews. Please drown out the haters for me. Share it on your Instagram story. It takes 2 seconds, but it means the world, because it hurts when I'm like, oh, I got a YouTube comment or I got a comment and it's just a troll. Okay. I need your good vibes. I need to know you're here. Tangent aside, there are times where I'm like, yes, my why is helping others, but to have to do it to this committed extent of showing up on a weekly basis and being so uncomfortable and not receiving much external validation or confirmation that I'm on the right path or any monetary reward, I have times where I'm like, oh my gosh, what if all of this discomfort and almost, it's vulnerability for sure. What if it's all for nothing? Which, of course, I can rationalize and say, well, I know I've helped at least one person, so it is. But when you have to do it on such a consistent level, you want more. While I say I'm still not comfortable, I can listen back to some of my first episodes and know that actually, while I still don't love public speaking, and speaking doesn't come naturally, I have improved my public speaking skills. And so that speaking, interacting with others when I do interviews or speaking right here to you right now, that is a skill I am slowly, very slowly, but surely refining. So as long as I'm acquiring some skill, it's not all wasted. And let me add that when I get positive feedback from you, that you find these episodes helpful, my God, it makes it so worth it. But it's not like that's a weekly thing that I'm receiving that. So I have moments where it feels like crickets, like I'm putting myself through torture and I'm not hearing anything back. I'm speaking into a void. But I am acquiring a new skill set and I'm allowing myself to start exactly where I am and be okay with that. We all start at a different level, and maybe you're luckier than I am and you're not as cringe. You're not as cringe when it comes to speaking, but I am, okay? So all of this to say, I believe that no matter what passion you are pursuing, you will pick up skills. You'll have to develop skills that can be transferable to pretty much any industry. If you decide that this, whatever you're pursuing, doesn't light you up anymore, that it's maybe not what you thought it was, it wasn't all wasted. Now, circling back to the worst case scenario, we don't want to perpetuate that by dwelling on it or going down that rabbit hole, but we also can't pretend the elephant in the room doesn't exist. So the fear, especially in our economic status right now, I cannot lie to you and say that my industry, the advertising revenue from my blog, has not been affected by the economy, because it has. Advertising has not been as amazing this year or at the end of last year. And so I'm definitely picking up on a lot of fear in my industry and in the collective. But what I'll say is I don't watch news, and I really don't have anything to do with pop culture. So I can pick up on the energy of the collective, but I don't allow myself to be saturated in it. But there is a fear of, I'm sure it's every business owner's fear, the worst case scenario. What if my business goes bust? And actually, what kind of even brought this to light again as a topic that I wanted to delve into further when I had initially kind of touched on it with Whitney back a few episodes ago, but someone in a blogging mastermind that I'm in was just looking for ways, since advertising has been affected this year by the economy. So advertising, it gets cut. It's in relation to the stock market. So stock market doesn't do so hot, advertisers start to cut their spending. And so there's a lot of talk right now about diversifying ad revenue, which luckily I've got some affiliate revenue, but shoot, I would love to diversify more. And so that's a topic of a lot of bloggers right now. And one blogger just reached out and did a poll of how do others diversify their income outside of blogging. And it was really cool to see all the answers. It just brings this home, this message of skills. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you are developing a skill that will be somehow transferable. And so it was awesome to see the answers of how bloggers are making money outside of blogging with skills that they cultivated in the blogging industry. And many included marketing positions, SEO positions, social media management, project management, data analytics. You have to know your analytics if you want to effectively execute social media and SEO strategy. Copywriting, that was one I mentioned. With all the SEO I'm doing, all the writing, I know I'm developing copywriting skills. Photography. So if you've had to promote your own business, whatever it is, if it's not blogging, I'm sure you've had to up the ante on your photography skills somehow, especially if you're showing up on social media. And that is another one that I didn't even think, but my blog is super image heavy. So photography is another one. But all of these, one lady said she's like a CFO somewhere. Someone, because if you do run a business, you have to learn business, right? I mean, that would help, not just the marketing, but the operations of it as well. Bookkeeping, I've had to learn. I suck at it, but I've had to learn some QuickBooks. So I don't want this idea to hold you back of pursuing what you want to do with all of your heart, because I promise you, you will gather something of value. You are adding value to who you are and what you have to offer. It's not wasted. And allow yourself to start exactly where you are. We don't all start off at the same competency levels, and that's okay. That is okay. How are you ever going to acquire confidence without first acquiring competency? And competency is only acquired through the actual doing and refining your skill. So I feel like I'm sounding like a broken record now, but I hope you get the message. And like I said, I need your help drowning out negative comments. Show up. If this is adding value to your life, this podcast, if it's adding value to your life in any way, do me a solid, pay it forward. It takes 2 seconds to leave a 5-star written review on Apple, or share this with a friend. Even better, upload a screenshot of this episode on your Instagram story and tag me in it. But I need your help spreading the word with this podcast and growing it and touching other introverts' lives, because we all deserve to live a beautiful, happy life doing what we love. And I just want to thank you so incredibly much for being on this journey with me. And I love you, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much for stopping by this week. I make no money from this show. Actually, it costs me money to produce and host. So the best way you can show your support for this passion project of mine is by leaving the show a 5-star written review on Apple. Also, if you would like to contribute monetarily to the show, you can leave a tip in my digital tip jar, which I have the link in the show notes. You can always share it with a friend who you think could benefit from the message, or even better, you can take a screenshot of this episode, upload it to your Insta stories, and tag me in it at Designing Vibes. Sending you my love.